this country are produced in the northern parts of the country, right? And so if a lot is not produced, then it could potentially lead to a situation where we are not getting a lot of it on our markets. And of course, the little that is left will be very expensive because demand and supply issues. And so it's a big situation that we have on our hands, which even warranted the Ministry of Agric, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Defense to organize a press conference and tell us about the gravity of the situation. So right up there, we had the Ministry of Defense telling us that some security forces have been taken to the borders of this country to ensure that there is no exportation of grain outside of the country, to ensure that what we have here is able to cater to the needs of the people in this country. So that happened. Of course, the Ministry of Finance was also announcing that some 8 billion will be used to try and deal with the situation, right? And then we had the Ministry of Agriculture also talking about the fact that, look, I mean, this is a serious situation that we have on our hands, and so they are putting in place the necessary measures to deal with the drought situation, of course, including, for example, given some of the farmers who have lost their investments, say 1,000 Ghana cedis per hectare of land that they farmed, and they weren't able to yield any produce, among other things. So they'll be working around the clock, according to them, to try and deal with the situation. And I've just recently heard that the Agric Minister says that we should blame this drought that we're seeing on climate change and not irrigation, because questions are being asked about irrigation, right? If there were proper irrigation measures put in place, perhaps when the rains didn't come down, these farmers would have been able to depend on whatever irrigation schemes that there were in place to be able to water their crops, so that they don't necessarily have to depend on the rain, right? Well, this is the rationale behind irrigation. Because if you ask a simple question of what irrigation is for, definitely it's to help farmers to water their crops. We had a one village, one dam policy that was announced by the government. Unfortunately, it has not materialized. And there are those who are saying if one village, one dam had materialized, a lot of the places in the northern part of the country which have been affected by this drought, they wouldn't have had to worry, because then they know that there is a dam which they can tap water from and then use it to water their crops. But that didn't happen. The minister is saying that, look, this is not about irrigation. It's the climate change, it's the weather, and all of that. So that has been one of the topical issues being discussed during this entire week. Of course, Emmanuel Bipo is here in the studio. And
that time it's Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
And the energy level on Fridays obviously is different. The weekend is upon us. Just like Jim Becklin and
when it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I greet you good morning, you'll be like, good morning.
The morning is
see the way your energy is up on this Friday morning.
Weekend is upon us, in the voice of Peter Dury and Jim Becklin. Those who play PlayStation will understand.
The weekend is upon us.
But back to what you discussed yesterday. The finance minister held a news conference to justify why he thinks that we should touch 500 million.
500 from the contingency fund.
To address the situation up north. Fine, fair. I don't want to go into the technicalities. Expect to do that later on the show. But you see, why do we always run away from problems? According to the finance minister, we are not experiencing what's happening up north is not drought, but
no, it's not drought.
We are experiencing extended dry spell.
Yeah.
What's the meaning of drought? Check the explanation of drought. Then you realize that, look, instead of semantics, we should rather be focused on addressing the issue. Because it's a prolonged dry period. It's a natural climate cycle that can occur anywhere in the world, and that is drought.
That's the definition of drought.
So you say extended dry spell.
But he has defined drought.
But you say what's happening after giving the definition for drought. You say what's happening is not drought.
It's not drought, but it's
you see.
You just define drought.
What this does is that instead of focusing on the issue, experts are coming to spend another precious time discussing exactly whether we are experiencing drought or not. There's a bigger issue. We are not think consequential. You see, we always find
unnecessary. There's a problem.
We major in the minors, and sometimes it is sad. Look, we fail to plan as a nation. We are hit by this prolonged dry season. We should see this as an opportunity to amend our ways.
Yeah.
rather than trying to justify whether indeed we are culpable or we are everybody's trying to absolve themselves of blame. If you speak to the Ghana Irrigation Authority, they speak as if, oh, everything is fine here. But last week, time, we referred to a World Bank report that says only 3% of our farmlands are irrigated.
Yes.
That have irrigation facilities. So we shouldn't shy away from the problem. We should rather address it heads on, and that the semantics is too many and it yields no results.
I mean, we are fond of running away from blame. Right? We are fond of running away because we don't want the people who are suffering to blame us, but we want something else to put the blame on when we can blame ourselves for not doing the right thing. Look, see, when there are failures on the part of government and there are shortcomings on the part of government, I don't think that the officials who have been put in place to deal with these problems should be running away from the problems. I mean, they should be tackling these problems head on. If there are failures, you admit to us that yes, we have failed, but these are the steps that we are taking to deal with the failure. You do that, and then we take the steps that are necessary, and then we continue to move on. That is what we have to do. You know, instead of trying to look for other things to put the blame on. You understand? But anyway, on the front page of the Daily Graphic this morning, government releases 700 million Ghana cedis bailout funds to pay defunct financial institution customers. So that's happening. Two carjackers have been jailed 80 years, and 3 others have also been sentenced. So they decided to go and steal cars. They were caught, they were taken through the process, and they've been jailed 80 years. So you're essentially going to spend the entirety of your life in prison because you decided that you were going to steal a car. Yeah.
And you see, there's a phenomenon on social media that I found very I don't want to use harsh words, but I think it doesn't make sense. Anytime a court sentences people involved in these criminal acts, what you hear people say is that, oh, our laws only affect the poor. How about this politician? How about that politician? How about... I think sometimes we oversimplify things too much. If you've ever been a victim of such an activity, if you've ever been robbed, I think the last thing you will say is that, oh, this politician, there's an allegation about him and he's working scot-free. So why are we... Look, every crime is a crime.
Every crime is a crime.
As and when our courts are able to prove that indeed certain allegations are true, we should keep quiet and sometimes jubilate over the fact that justice is being served.
Yeah. And if justice is being served, we should encourage for justice to be served. Because whoever, was carjacked would be suffering.
Will be traumatized. Look, people have post-traumatic stress disorder and they're walking around. The least thing. Look, some people never recover. People never recover from this harrowing experience. So, anyway.
And also on the Daily Graphic, Cape Coast is ready for the biggest ever Fitu Afashe. Yeah, so...
will you go? Will you attend?
I would love to attend.
I also love to. Let's plan.
Yeah, we can.
Cape Coast, we'll come. We'll come. Myself, Lantam, Ibrahim,
Well, I mean,
I'm sure Musa Lansa will want to join.
I mean, I would love to come. And provide funding sources for your promises. Chachuchi Kata tells political parties. The one of Ghana's legal luminaries, Chachuchi Kata, says that all these political parties who are promising they are going to do A, B, and C, they should provide funding sources, and that is one question that I have consistently been asking you, because you are promising all of these things. You are promising tax cuts. You know that a lot of the revenue that we get are coming from taxes, because if you look at the last budget, like I've said, about 81% of the entirety of the budget funding is taxes, right? So taxes, to a large extent, is what is running this country. And you are promising tax cuts, but you are still promising to do A, B, C, D. Huge, lofty projects. So where is the money going to come from? Realistically speaking. I mean, I've heard some of them talk about the money is going to come. We are going to encourage the private sector to want to take up some of these projects and all of that. But well, I don't know. I don't know if the private sector is interested.
Then when you push harder,
the political parties are saying that they are doing.
When you probe harder, then they will tell you that we'll use part of our oil proceeds, blah blah blah. They give you a blanket source without the details, and sometimes Anyway, we just hope and pray that they mean what
but we need to question them. Where are they going to get the money from? Because Ghana's economy is reeling. Ghana's economy is bleeding.
Especially that now that we are under an IMF program. We're also limited as to exactly what.
And it's difficult for us to get money to do anything. We can't go onto the
capital
market.
You're not servicing your debt. So we can't go into
we can't go into the capital market to go and borrow as well. By and large, it is taxes that we are going to depend on.
Inshallah and vibes.
So where is the money going to come from? Yeah, you can cut down on unnecessary expenditure. You can plug the loopholes when it comes to corruption. If we're able to do all of these things, yes, I'll be able to get money to do. But, I mean, realistically speaking, because there is a certain history in this country and there's a certain track record of both of the political parties who potentially could win this election, both the NDC and the NPP. There's a certain track record. A certain trajectory, and if your track record is anything to go by, really, can we really trust that they can plug the loopholes, that they can widen the tax nets and get more people to pay taxes and all of that? Because we've
widen
seen them.
The tax nets, a very common cliche.
Very common, yeah. I mean, we've been talking about widening the tax nets since the days of President Kufuor, and up till now, we are still talking about widening the tax nets. Is it an alien concept? It is not. It's all the same things that are being proposed for the tax net to be widened are the same things that are being proposed now.
Well,
if it has not worked then, what is the guarantee that it will work now? This is a question that the ordinary Ghanaian will ask. How can we trust that you will do what you say you will do?
Look, if you are promising that you are going to cut down on expenditure, reduce the size of government, and ensure that there's enough money to fund things, give us that mathematical analysis. Yeah. Currently, we have so and so ministers. They earn or we spend so and so amounts on them. Reducing ministerial appointments will ensure that we save so and so amount. The project that we want to embark on will cost so and so amount. Then we have specific, you get it, assessment of the situation. That you are just giving us a general commentary that you use this and that to fund the project.
I like what Chachu is saying. Provide sources of funding for promises, because we need to know. And if you say something like the private sector is going to fund it, I'm asking myself the question, okay, was there an engagement with the private sector?
Exactly.
Because this government has always maintained that the private sector is the engine of growth, that they are capitalists and they believe in privatization. I mean, we've seen attempts to make sure that a lot of things go private. So we know that this government or this MPP political party has a certain philosophy where they believe in an ideology that the private sector is the engine of growth, and so they should empower the private sector to really drive the economy. What has been the track record of this government when it comes to making sure that the private sector is thriving in this country, or the private sector has the necessary incentive to thrive? What has been the track record? I mean, we are here, and the private sector is reeling. Businesses are struggling, businesses are suffering because the economy is not good. And it is now that this same NPP is saying that, look, our new manifesto is for businesses and it's for jobs. I mean, so for this past 4-8 years, what have you been doing for businesses, right? And what has been the level of engagement of some of these businesses who are struggling now that you are going to go and look for money from to come and construct roads, to come and construct this, to come and construct that? Because, I mean, when I spoke to Kojo Oponkroma on State of Affairs some time back, he talked about, I mean, getting to the private sector, incentivizing the private, they will take up and take on some of these projects, and then, government will get into some sort of negotiation with them, and it will be, they will pay some sort of rent. Does the private sector want to do these things? That's a question we should be asking. Is that what they want to do? Have we really engaged them? I don't know. We should ask more questions and come out with further and better particulars. But anyway, that's it for the
all right, the Daily Statesman. Napo questions Mohammed's job promises. Also, processes begin for 2024 school selection. Rigging not part of NPP. President assures free, fair elections. Kwewu reaffirms loyalty to NPP. Story on page 2. And headquarters pledge support for Bawumia. Lead stories in the Daily Statesman.
All right, the Ghanaian Times. Update on banking sector cleanup. Government to pay 700 million to customers as first tranche of 1.5 million Ghana cedi bailouts. Assets management companies. That's according to the finance minister. 2 banks commit 1.9 billion Ghana cedis to SMEs developments. Dr. Stephen Amoah, who is deputy finance minister, has been announcing this. Medina Adenta footbridge turn white elephants. Pedestrians abandon them and they prefer to cross the busy highway. This is an age-old problem, isn't it? Ever since that bridge was constructed, this has been a problem. But that's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
All right, the new weekend crusading guide. Government rolls out drip in Northeast region. Also, Baumia electrifies Abetifi in Praiso constituencies. BOG exposed Okujetu Ablakwa for misinforming public about transfer to Liberian Central Bank, and also contractor accuses Busa South DCE of withholding his money. Reagan election not in NPP's DNA. President Akufo-Addo assures, I came out of a peaceful election and I will live in a peaceful election. Also, multiple police report nails Akwenya Manrie as a litigant in the Adjugano land. There's a certain land dispute there that I don't want to delve deep into. And also, you are not alone in your cancer fight. U.S. Army veteran tells cancer survivors and persons living with cancer.
All right. And Reagan is not in our DNA, says Akufo-Addo. 2024 school selection processes kickstart and set to end on September 4. And also, after thorough police intelligence-led probe, 3 Kumasi carjackers jailed 345 years. Yeah.
Indirectly, that is life imprisonment.
Yeah, and 2 accomplices sentenced to pay various fines. So all of this has found space on the front page of the Chronicle newspaper.
Well, last time I'm just about the last story that one of the stories that you read. Look, I'm happy that the president has given that firm assurance that the NPP is not interested in Reagan. He's interested in a free and fair election because that is what brought him to power. I think that will also calm some nerve. You remember yesterday when now Tamaklu doctor spoke with Bolare on Starr chat. He cautioned that if the EC doesn't conduct itself in a professional manner during the upcoming elections, it could spill doom for all of us. So.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good to to hear those assurances from the first gentleman of the land, you know. But the onus is on the EC to ensure that it actually happens, right?
Yeah. So we just hope that we have a chaos-free incident and the fears of Nyao Tamaklo doesn't manifest on election day.
Yeah. So the Bible verse on the Chronicle this morning, Colossians 3:25. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he has done. And there is no partiality. So that's the Bible verse on the Chronicle this morning.
All right, the Daily Post is what I have. Sedun Ketia warns security officers against taking lives of electorates. Also, 50,000 dead persons, illegal transfers in voters' register. NDC is making this allegation. And Edem Agbana set to launch campaign on Sunday. Targets over 95% for Mahama.
Okay. The Daily Dispatch newspaper, the battle for Ayawaso West Wogon. NDC's candidate John Dumelo condemned for accusing MPP MP of killing her husband. And John Dumelo has put out an apology on his socials, saying that, he didn't mean to, what he said was not right. And so he retracts and he apologizes, for making that comment. So that's the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Akufo-Addo's lawyer exposes NDC's Okujetu Ablakwa over 20 million US dollar transfer. So that's these are the big stories on the front page of the Daily Dispatch.
All right, the Informa is what I have. Misinformation, disinformation, youth urged to desist from hate speech. Also towards addressing terrorism and coup, ECOWAS standby force crucial. Akufo-Addo. I thought ECOWAS would learn from the Mali-Niger fiasco. When there were talks about ECOWAS putting together a ground troop, blah, blah, blah. I thought ECOWAS would learn from that fiasco because especially when member states don't adhere to protocols, election protocols. There are protocols that insist that 6 months to elections, you don't make substantial changes to your constitution. People are flouting these regulations. Member states, ECOWAS sits unconcerned. When there are issues, then everybody's talking about what they need for standby force. Every country is sovereign. Every country is sovereign.
Every country, yeah.
And just like we are doing now, that currently we seem to be disintegrating the regional bloc because Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso seem not interested in ECOWAS anymore. Care should be taken. For me, I think that when these things are about to happen, there are some hints that we get when incumbents want to misbehave. There are certain hints that we get. So ECOWAS as a regional body should be focusing more on that instead of standby force.
Standby force.
That is the recommendation from my president, your president, our president. So let's see.
Standby forces. Anyway.
Also, reciprocate government gesture. Napo appeals to Afram Plains. Mahama, afraid of bad record, says Baumia, challenges him to debate, and Mahama wept over Baumia media encounter. Comes with an interesting photograph of the former president bowing his head down with a handkerchief, like we do in funerals when we are sad. Also, government inaction cause of rampant strike, teacher unions. That is it for the Informer.
Okay, and on the Insight newspaper, Alan Chamanting shakes Accra with a Fafranto movement. Failure to pay severance benefits. Police beg export workers to hold on with all die be die demo against the GPHA. 2024 election register bloated with 50,000 ghost names, multiple registrants, and others. That's according to the NDC. And also, group backs Mohammed's Operation Recover All Loot initiative, and be circumspect in dealing with La chieftaincy matters. Abese La Adonten Manche urges chiefs. So that's on the Insight newspaper. Yeah.
The Herald newspaper. If you've been monitoring development at the Ayawaso West Wogon conference, you realize that the NDC candidate is hot. In fact, we understand that the women caucus, the majority side.
J Mello is hot.
You understand that the women caucus on the majority side are threatening, or they are backing Lydia and Hassan to pursue the issue in court. Now, there's a story. John Dumelo falls into MPP's Lydia and Hassan widow trap as murder accusations takes over Ayawaso West Wogon campaign. He shouldn't have gotten himself in this mess. He's apologized. Let's see how it goes. GGA president urges protection for journalists ahead of 2024 elections, and in prior Suabetifi Ebuakad Mop Baumia on Eastern Region campaign, and NDC demands apology from ICGC pastor Atachia over derogatory Mahama comment. And also, finance minister disputes Cocoa Board's self-financing plan. And yeah, I think I'm done with the Herald.
All right, so we'll go to starfm.com.gh. We'll see some of the stories that are there on the website this morning. I don't believe Anas, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, speaks. We are taught to speak freely. That's according to Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. We'll bring you a playback of Star Chat with Bolare when he starts with Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. Election 2024. Any winner will inherit an economy with no respect. With no respect. That's according to Seth Tekwe. And the Kufuado Baumia MPP Ponzi scheme government. Ponzi scheme government guardians have seen. That's according to Seth Tekwe. And I want to take you to Ghana Web and take you to a very interesting story, on Ghana Web this morning that I want you to look at. So this is a story which says that is talking about my alma mater, Achimota School, right? And it says that Achimota School commends former Rastafarian student Tyrone for bagging $1.4 million worth of US scholarships.
Okay.
So let me read the story.
Since it is your school, deal with them.
Because
you may use charitable words on them.
Achimota School, yes, my alma mater. Yeah. My beloved great city on the Outlaws Hill.
Yeah. Accra, Lantam, Papanko.
Accra, Lantam, Papanko. Yeah, me this. Achimota School, one of Ghana's foremost senior high schools, has commended Tyrone Iras Magai.
Yeah.
Its former.
Now he's all our guy. It has moved from Magai to our guy.
It's former Rastafarian student for bagging scholarships worth $1.4 million from universities in the United States. In a post shared on X on Wednesday, August 28, 2024, Achimota School, popularly known as Motown, congratulated Tyrone for his latest achievement. Motown urged its alumnus to continue making strides in the world. So this is the post. Hashtag Achimota Excellence. Congratulations to Akora at Tyrone, at my guy Tyrone, on your latest achievement. Go forth as living waters. And we like saying that. We are living water to a thirsty land. Right? So go forth.
Well, you guys attempted denying a thirsty young man of water when he was in that need of admission.
He became one of the best performing students in Achimota School.
So
and now he actually got 8 A's in the WASI, right? Yeah. So Tyrone Iras Magai is the Rastafarian student, for those who don't know, who initially faced admission denial to Achimota School for refusing to cut off his dreadlocks. Earlier announced that he has been awarded scholarships worth $1.4 million from the universities in the United States. Tyrone, after winning his legal battle against Achimota School, represented the school at the National Science and Maths quiz. He scored 8 A's in the WASI examination. He also made news headlines when he was crowned the overall national top scorer in a U.S. maths contest. The American Mathematics Olympiad, beating over 150,000 students from all parts of the world. So, on a post shared on X, the former Achimota student disclosed that he has been awarded a full scholarship to study computer engineering at the University of Pennsylvania, right? And he indicated that he also received a scholarship offer from Franklin and Marshall College, Williams College, and Duke University, which sum up to about $1.4 million. And then after he put out the post, then Achimota School came and then congratulated him.
You have no shame.
Achimota School came and congratulated him.
Is the school aware that they could have been congratulating 2 people instead of 1?
Yeah.
But for their decision to frustrate the admission process.
Yeah.
Remember the other guy left and went to GIS?
Yeah.
They were 2 in number.
Yeah.
But what saddens me is that you have old Achimota students, some of them who have risen through the ranks and became vice chancellors and all, fighting admission of this young man.
Yeah.
Because in their view, he's going to corrupt other students.
They believed that there's a certain standard, and I was of that view too. That the argument was that, look, everybody who goes through Achimota School, there is a certain code of conduct, and this is, same for a lot of secondary schools. Okay, now they are senior high schools. A lot of these senior high schools across the country. You have to wear your hair, even in the girls' schools, you have to wear your hair short. You have to dress in a certain kind of uniform. You have to conform to ABCD rules. And one of the requirements for being in the school is that you have to wear your hair short. And everybody complies.
And that applies to foreign students as well?
Regardless of who you are, that actually applies. So that is the same standard that they wanted to apply to Tyrone, my guy. And I mean, initially, I was of the opinion that, look, I mean, if you go to Rome, you do what Romans do. If this is the school rules and you want to go, I mean, you cut your hair and then you go. But then, a little bit of double standard started emerging, because there are people who are foreign students, or should I say Caucasians, who come and they are not forced to cut their hair. Then the explanation is that, these are exchange students. And, I fall for that, because when I was in Achimota School, there were exchange students, who came through the school. And then it is imagined that, okay, there are other people who are what we'll call Hafko, who have their hair long and all of that, and nobody is forcing them to cut their hair. But then Tyrone comes, and then, he has dreadlocks. He says that, well, I mean, according to his religion, he's a Nazarite, and they don't want to cut his hair, and his religion doesn't want him to cut his hair. So he doesn't want to cut his hair. I think, there was much ado about nothing. If they've made exceptions for people who are Hafko, so to speak, they could have made an exception for Tyrone, my guy. And he didn't have to go to court and go. And now he goes into the school. So I'm wondering what these authorities, right, the school authorities, my beloved Achimota School, I'm wondering what is passing through their minds as Tyrone came into the school and was actually a very good student, an A student. and is actually lifting the image of the Achimota School high and flying the banner of Achimota School high. I wonder now what they'll be thinking. Okay, so we're fighting this guy, and now he's part of the science and maths quiz. I mean, he's the best performing mathematics student. He got 8 straight A's and all of that. So then, what was the hula baloo about?
You get it. You get it.
I
think maybe this should guide all of us, especially the conservatives in Achimota who don't want to see change. Look, culture is dynamic. It evolves. It evolves with time. So I think we should. But you see, I'm not too sure, but I think the AG is still pursuing this case at the appeals court level. I'm not too sure. Yeah. Because I remember is that the
issue is it now opens. You see, the other problem people have is that
the
now
Pandora's
it opens, the floodgates for everybody to come up with an issue that will warrants them an exception.
The courts will assess every issue based on its merit. I'm sure that if a similar issue comes, it may not be as exact as my guy's own. So I'm sure every issue will have its own merits.
People started saying, okay, we'll become upset. I mean, if I also go in and say I'm a traditionalist, and according to
my
tradition,
try it. If the courts,
I'm a conform, and I'm not supposed to wear slippers.
People should be testing our laws. I'm for that, but you see, you need to try it. But if the courts agree with you, that is fine. If the court says no, you can't abuse this.
So I want to ask my school, as you allow Tyrone to go through Achimota School, did the standards in Achimota School fall?
I think we need to go to Achimota and count the number of Rastafarians. Let's assess if
initially, because
Tyrone
all of us
influence some of them to also
become Rastafarians.
You get it. I mean, some of the things that we major in, it doesn't make sense. And I'm still highly disappointed in, especially those who at the point became vice chancellors and co.
But we used to.
One of the things that education should do to you is to.
But when we were in Achimota School, people used to get punished for having strange haircuts. People used to be punished for having strange haircuts.
I remember
if you go and do some haircuts and you put some lines and things inside, they will punish you.
When I was in Chimo, there was an incident where teachers decided to take the laws into their own hands, use scissors on people's hair, and their parents came to school the next day.
Debunking. Is it the girls?
The girls. And the next day, look, I've never seen my teachers that hot before. Some of them had to run away.
Yeah.
How do you even
they call it debunking.
You get it.
So because they say the girls want to grow, especially the third years when they know they are going to ride WASI and all of that. They know that when they come out of school, they want to do their hair, so they start growing out their hair.
Leave
them.
It is fine. Even if the school regulations are against that is fine. But what should you do as a school? Turn them away. Tell them that until you trim your hair, we won't let you into the school
or something
then
like that.
Then they decide with their parents if they'll choose their hair over the school. It's their own business. But you see, once you use scissors on someone else's child,
they call it debunking.
Charlie, my teachers were hot. She was a day school inside Community 4. The houses are not.
And can you imagine? It's a day school.
You get it. So for day school, just send them away. Let them go and trim the hair instead of picking. And ever since that incident, it never happened again.
Yeah, so I want to ask my beloved Achimota School, when you allow Tyrone Magai to go, did the standards in the school for?
I want to see if the number of dreadlocks have increased in Achimota.
I don't know. But I'll be honest, because initially I was of the opinion that, look, hey, I mean, just cut your hair and go to the school. Because we all went through it. You cut your hair and go to the school. But there was a certain strong conviction that, hey, I am, a Rastafarian. I believe in keeping my locks. And this is something which is associated with my religion that I don't want to compromise on. It's akin to the hijab situation where, there are some schools which are not allowing the girls to wear hijab, right? That also became an issue, right?
Yeah. Hijab. Fasting and all those things become an issue in
some of the schools. So if we're a religious country as well. So if there are people who are Muslims and they want to observe their religion, we should allow them. Because in Achimota School, I know that Muslims also had their meetings. Yeah, Muslims had their meetings where they would go. I think it was on Fridays or so, and all of that. But anyway, it's all ended well.
Everything is normal. Right? Just to end, my last take on this: everything is normal. Everything is normal until somebody challenges the status quo.
Yeah.
Until Rosa Parks and the rest did what they did.
Yeah.
Everything that was happening was perceived as normal. Until people rose up against apartheid, that was the norm. I'm saying a lot of things now will be classified as normal until somebody challenges the status quo. So it is good that people are challenging our laws.
that should do it for the news review segment.